so we can send out the webinar afterwards. Again, thank you very much for being here, for taking the time on this Friday. We're extremely excited to have you. There's lots of people in the HiveTracks crowd on this call, and we're very excited to kickstart the new season with all of you. We want to start with some introductions, and I would say, James, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Max. Hi, everybody. If you've been around for a while, you may have run across me at various places in terms of conferences and beekeeping engagements. But yeah, founder of HiveTracks, and happy to be here with you. I'm located in the high country area of North Carolina, Northwest North Carolina. Farm is over in Ashe County, if you're familiar with the area. And yeah, I've been keeping bees since 2000. And my son runs a sideliner business as well now. So have both the beekeeping boots on the ground background, plus been iterating on HiveTracks and technology in general in the beekeeping space for a dozen or plus years now.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, James. My name is Max. I'm the CEO of HiveTracks. I joined HiveTracks about 3 years ago now. I have a background in food and resource economics and rural development, and I worked for the UN, for the Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome, Italy before. That's also where James and I met during a conference, and we saw that our topics and what we worked on and what our passion was very well aligned. So we decided to team up, and yeah, a little pandemic came right in the middle. So I was working from Europe for the first year and a half, from Berlin, Germany, and then I relocated to the States, to North Carolina, the middle of last year. And since then we've been sharing the same time zone and working on HiveTracks together, which has been quite fascinating. So yeah, that's all on us. Of course, you have our email addresses there. If there's any question, always reach out. Let's dive a little bit into the agenda. We have a couple of exciting updates and things we want to be talking about. We will start with a super brief history of HiveTracks, where we're coming from, what James founded in his yard on his farm. We will touch upon the new HiveTracks app. Then we have something very, very exciting, which is the new HiveTracks web portal. More on that later. We'll briefly talk about our why we're doing this, what the greater goal is that we want to achieve as a community. Talk about our crowd equity investment campaign that is currently ongoing. And then we'll end up with some ample space for all of you to ask any type of questions you may have on any of our products or roadmap or anything that is on your mind. And of course, if there's any question in the meantime, feel free to just put them in the chat, and then we'll address them towards the end of it. So yeah, thank you. Let's take it away.
All right. Yeah. So definitely have a good history with HiveTracks. And again, in 2008 or so, the other side of my life is I'm a computer science professor at Appalachian State in Boone, North Carolina. And so have this technology background, and it collided with my beekeeping in 2008 in my bee yard, and really just had an aha moment of technology ought to be giving beekeepers an assist. At that time, I was trying to keep up with multiple bee yards, kind of had one of the backyard beehive type models that I had started back then, kind of like Best Bees, Bees in the D, Bee Downtown, that kind of model, but on a very local level. And a lot of people do that these days as well. So it was born out of that need that I had of just managing the information. So since that time, been iterating on that idea, launched HiveTracks originally in 2010 as a web app. And then kind of the mid 2013, 14, 15, also added mobile to that equation from a technology stack standpoint. And pretty soon after that, we realized we needed to kind of keep reinventing the technology because the technology was progressing so quickly. And so we've continually kind of rebuilt the tech stack as we've gone. Again, the whole purpose all along, and we'll talk more about this in a little bit, is really to help the beekeeper make better decisions. What do I do next as a beekeeper is an ongoing question, and why you're evaluating your hives, why you're looking at them, why you're doing inspections, why you go to bee meetings, et cetera. And so over time, you can see on the graphic there that the web application was picked up by over 40,000 beekeepers registered for an account in 150 countries. So it just sort of organically just spread at this time when, the internet was coming of age and kind of progressing past the early stages. And yeah, it just people were needed or wanted or were looking for something like this. And so again, Max, when he came in 2019, we were on the edge. I was ready to rebuild the whole thing at that point. And then pandemic happened, and just the crazy of the last 3 years has been quite, the world shifting moments of our lifetime. And in that process, we were able to continue to iterate on the early concepts that I had. And last year, we rebuilt the tech stack and we released an app called the Beekeeper's Companion. And it encapsulated a lot of the thoughts that we wanted, but it just wasn't mature enough as a tech stack. And from a technology standpoint, it was just not what we wanted to have out there. And so we, kind of regrouped at the end of the year and have rebuilt pretty quickly the whole tech stack again. So what you're seeing now is a rebuild of everything from the ground up, using everything that I and we have learned in the last 15 years and us in the last 3 years to what we're at today. And I've said this within our team, I've never been more excited about and confident in where we are from a technology standpoint and from the beekeeper standpoint. So it's always been kind of tilted one way or the other, but now we've kind of converged, I think, to a really sweet spot. All right, that's it. So,
thank you. No, thanks a lot, James. Yeah, and we're really, really excited about the 2023 outlook, and that's what we'll be diving into right now. So as many of you may have seen, and in mid-February of this year, we soft launched our all-new HiveTracks app. And we, as James was saying, since we felt last year's product wasn't on par with what we wanted from it and expected from it, so we rebuilt. Declan is actually on our lead engineers on this call, so we're really excited to have you. And we added lots of new features that we had planned to add from the beginning, but it took us some time to get in there. One of them is the community intelligence, for example, which is currently in beta, where we wanted beekeepers to know what is going on in your respective areas. So we want the beekeepers to see what is going on wherever you are and see how you can be aware of what beekeepers do in your area. And currently it's divided up, so you get recommendations of the entire beekeepers community, and then over time, as we progress in the season, we move into more localized and more awareness around where you are. We have over 250 recommendations built into the app already, so you may have seen some of those. So if there is a specific disease that you run into, or a specific record, or even just an inspection that you performed, the app reminds you of certain follow-up tasks that you may be doing or things you want to double check for. Even if you record some low food stores, for example, you get an information that you want to follow up with that. So these recommendations, again, it's the initial stage. So we will be working on the recommendations. You may have also seen that there's always a rating system for the recommendations. So the more we use the recommendations and the more we rate them, the easier it will be for us to refine them and to get them more localized to where we are. Also, we added for the US a state-level blooming calendar. So you're now able to look what is currently in bloom in your state. Here again, this is just a starting point. So expanding that to other areas in the world, and also allowing for a crowd sourcing component of the blooming calendar. So you can actually confirm a certain bloom in a particular area. So we as a beekeeping community can help each other out by knowing what is in bloom, which pollinator-relevant, bee-relevant flowers are in bloom that my bees could be foraging on. We also have the personalized recommendations. So based on our ability, if somebody reaches out to us or needs help, we're able to send individual recommendations, which is, I'm going to talk more about that when I dive into the web portal. And then we also have some new onboarding quests. So any beekeepers who get started now and using the app, they will see that each week there's a little quest, which also, again, is just a hint of what we want to do later this season, where there will be regular updated emails for what your activity during a specific time frame was and what also the community activities are. Because again, beekeeping happens as a community, and sharing the knowledge and learning from other beekeepers is the most important part. So we are extremely excited. So far, we've received a lot of good feedback. So that is something where we wanted to thank all of you. So keep the feedback coming. Again, we're just getting started. This is the baseline. This is where we are right now. And throughout the season, we have lots of new features that we want to work on. And actually, let me dive into it and just show you real quick what the new app looks like. So I'll just be sharing my
If
screen.
you can get me to...
There we go. And pardon the, you may have picked up the accent already. I'm German by origin, so pardon the German on my screen. So this is the home screen that we currently have in our new app, and it allows me with one view to have a look at all the activity I have planned. The activity is divided up into my current to-dos that I have scheduled, and all of the recommendations that I received either from the admin, from the web portal, or recommendations that I received based on the things that I do in the app. I have a little tally down here with the number of records and to-dos that I've done, the number of inspections that I've completed. You can see that I've used this for test purposes. I don't think that anybody else has 17 inspections already in this early in the season, but this gives you a little bit of a tally of what you've already done. And in the Hive history, so this is also something new that we changed from last year, so you're able to directly on your home screen dive into your Hive history. So anything you did in the past shows up here, so you can go back in time and look at what you did during the last time. We also worked a lot on making it easier to edit, duplicate, change, delete, archive anything around your Hive, so it's much more accessible. In this case, looking at your apiaries is also an easier way now. So you see you have lots of different apiaries set up. So you're able to switch between the different apiaries, switch between the different hives. Just with one click of the button. You can also get there by tapping the home button at the bottom left twice. This is the beta version of the community intelligence. So this is something that we're continuously optimizing to get more relevant recommendations to all of you. Again, these currently are, as indicated here in the help section, these currently are recommendations or our community activities from the entire community. And we are right now working on improving that with your feedback and your input to make it easier to handle these and have them more relevant and more localized. The calendar feature still shows the weekly weather together with your to-dos that you've planned for the week. And the monthly calendar also shows both the blooms at the bottom you can see here. So these are the blooms that are currently in bloom for North Carolina. And then also my to-dos, but I can also see my records. So anything that I did, this is really an overview of anything that you've done and you are going to do in the future. Then finally, we got the personal info here for your experience level, your preferences in terms of the units. Again, fellow Europeans like me do the metric, and then we have the imperial level for our users in the US. And then going back to the home screen, the big button here in the middle is the shortcut basically to get to inspections, to-dos, and records. I won't dive too much deeper into this. This is what James is going to cover during the inspection webinar next Tuesday. I just briefly show again the most common to-dos in the beekeeping space are set up, and then with the other opportunity, you can create any to-dos that are not preset and pre-populated, but to-dos that you can get set up and rename them for yourself. And again, the last one that we have here is our records. So this is something that you didn't plan for. It can be observations, something that you go in and you just realize It can either be logging symptoms that you realize in your hive, or just a journal entry where you want to jot down a few notes and make sure you don't forget for your last time. So again, this is just a very brief overview to leave plenty of time for questions. I'll stop screen sharing here and play it back to you, Caroline. Perfect. Yes. So let's move on from the mobile app to our web app. And this is something that we're particularly excited about because we've had, as James was saying, HiveTracks was born on as a web app. And of course, there's a lot of things that are just a little bit harder to do on the mobile app. Or it may just be a personal preference that you just would like to see your operation on a web app, and you would like to enter or adjust your data or have a look at it. Also, what is interesting, and of course, it allows for managing more hives and more beekeepers. So we've built this as a tool that works for different subsets of beekeepers. So for me as an individual who just want to get a map view and a better view of all my hive data and my apiary data, but also as a tool for my beekeeping club or for my mentorship that I do as a beekeeper, to check in with fellow beekeepers in my area, see what they're doing. And there are in particular a few features that we can dive into. We just launched our beta product, so Caroline will put a link here in the chat in a minute for anybody who wants to have a look at and learn more about the portal and test it and use it with us. So feel free to just reach out. The key elements that we're going to be looking at is just a dashboard like you see there in the background. So for me to get some activity around how many people have been active, but also just to see what is the health of my hives that I currently have. A local apiary map, so to see where my apiary is located on a map across the area that I'm in, and the ability to filter my apiaries and send to-dos. So based on what you see in the history of the apiaries or something that you would like to do. And easy account management, if you share your hives with somebody else, if you have a fellow beekeeper and you have a few hives that you manage together, for example, that's an option. And then also there's a calendar feature, so you can go in and look what you've planned. And the beauty of the web portal is that it works in synergy with the mobile app. So anything you enter on the mobile app appears on the web app and vice versa. So that's an opportunity for you if you get home and you want to record some of the data afterwards, or you look at that you forgot something, you can send it to your mobile app and then get to see that on the phone for when you're in the apiary the next time. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna share my screen real quick and we'll have a brief look at it. Again, this is, all the people always say that you shouldn't be doing the live testing, but this is just a window. This is for our mocked up data, our dummy data on the apiary map that you can see, which allows you to look into any of the apiaries that are there. You can hover over them. And actually, we created a different account here, which is the HiveTracks account, to look into a few of the hives that we've created. This is my apiary, for example, the Max apiary. I can go in and see this is the things that I just did. It's the same account that we just viewed on mobile. I can go in and see what my latest inspections were. I can go in what I have as upcoming to-dos. And I can start filtering. We'll let Jeff in here. I can filter the data here, which are the ones that have had inspections, or which are the ones that didn't have any inspections, or even low population that you may have had in some areas. Or I wanna filter for any of the different diseases and pests that I've seen. So I want to go in and see which ones are the ones that have had varroa mites, as an example. And you can go in. This is Drew on our team who created a test hive. I will go back to Max's apiary here, and then get out, and then have a look at mine. And then what I can do is I can mark the apiary, and then I can send a recommendation to that particular apiary. And for example, say record a bloom. It has been warm in the Boone area. And then when I send that, I get the recommendation. The recommendation gets sent, and then I can go in and look at the communications or the calendar. So let's start by looking at the calendar. I have James pulled up right now. I'm gonna look at my own calendar here, and this is all the activity that I've had over the past. So these are the inspections that I've seen, that I've done in the past. So I can look at what when I did them, what the results were for each inspection. Can go back and forth between the weekly and the monthly calendar. I see what kind of recommendations I have set up. This is the recommendation I just sent to me, right? So it's the record the current bloom. So that is the one when I send any recommendation to my app in particular, this too shows up. So this is an easy way for you to manage your own apiary. This is, we're still working on this to get the ability to set up your events and to-dos and records and inspections, even from the web portal. So that again, here it shows when you have a group where you have a couple of people that work together to keep track of the hives, your ability to do so. And all the communications that you send, this is the record the current bloom. And this is the one I just sent. Again, I haven't updated it yet, so I haven't added it as a to-do and I haven't completed it yet, but you can check the ones you have for easy access. You can see, you know, the member when it was last updated, what the different upcoming to-dos are, and you can check in with all the different users who are part of it. The accounts is an easy management tool if you would like to add a fellow user, for example, for somebody that you record manage your beehives together with. Then the last thing that we wanted to, you see that there are still these work in progress. The goal is for us to launch this officially in April. So again, anybody who fills in the information before then gets a chance to test it with us. Sarah, who is on our call here today, she's our UX UI designer. So she is working with the 10 groups that we're currently testing it with. And the more feedback we get on this, of course, the faster it will be for us to get it where we want it to be. The last thing I'm going to mention here is the report section. So for the reports, this is something that we're working on, which we're really excited about, is to show the data or leverage the data, aggregate the data that we collect as beekeepers when we are in our hive and to see how the bees are flying. And we have it's a little mock-up here that we did for James's farm, and which is for Faith Mountain Farm. And you can see this is again just as a proof of concept, but it shows a map of where the apiary is. It gives a good about information about the location. It goes into the number of hives, a simple ability to add some pictures and videos, a profile on the honey, the information that we have here. And again, the goal with this is that, you know, as you enter your data and you work with the hive, the reports are being auto-generated, taking the data that you use, that you can have this as a QR code or an NFC tag on your honey jar to either sell it or just to hand it over to people who love your honey. So yeah, that's a very brief overview of our web portal. Again, we're super excited. We're just getting started. We're looking for much more feedback. And back to you, Caroline.
All right. Thanks, Caroline. Thanks, Max. So we want to give, and we'll go pretty quickly here so we can get to the Q&A. But again, just to give you a little bit of the motivation of why we're doing this. And I hope you kind of catch our heart and our philosophy behind all of this, because for me personally, it's been, you know, a labor of love for 15 years now. And so nothing's changed from the beginning in my belief, my firm belief that technology can give us an assist as beekeepers to be better beekeepers, have healthier bees. And over that window of time, we've learned a lot about what the challenges are for the bees and what information we need to know as a beekeeper to make good decisions, how the technology can integrate with that, the challenges to using technology as a beekeeper, all those things. We have a wealth of experience and knowledge about the beekeeping space that's going into this next version, next iteration of the app. And so again, that's our focus is helping the beekeepers, and I don't we're not going to veer away from that, and keep the beekeeper's best interest in mind in whatever we do. That's where Beekeeper born, and we're going to continue to, look out for the beekeepers. And one note, the app that's out right now is focused on hobbyist beekeepers with just a few hives. And so the user experience there is going to be different than, as you know, as a beekeeper, depending on how many hives you have. Managing that information is going to change as you get more hives, and we're very well aware of that. And you can already see in some of the directions with the web portal how we're framing that up, and there's a very clear roadmap of how the app itself is going to evolve over time to better work for more hives. So just want to make sure that that's clear from a product standpoint and the use standpoint for you, that when you go and try it. One of the newer kind of visions that we have, I'd say, and that's more in number 2, is when a beekeeper has healthy bees, they're productive, they're enjoying their hobby, or if you're a beekeeper in it for your business in some way, when your bees are healthy and productive, then everything's good. The world's as it should be, and it's working well, and those bees are delivering a very valuable service to the ecosystem around them. And so trying to capture what value do beekeepers and the bees they keep play in the ecosystem, in our current state of the world and the planet. And we're doing a good thing as a beekeeper. There's controversy about native pollinators, and we're not going to get into that here, but bees are delivering, they're creating life wherever they are. And that's what we're recognizing. And so accounting for that as a beekeeper, accounting for what you're doing as a beekeeper, and those, having good, healthy bees is a good thing, and being recognized, rewarded, or whatever for that as part of your beekeeping is what we're after in this broader picture. So when we go to these concepts of ecosystem services and the data and the value that it has, it's all couched in this concept that you as a beekeeper, by keeping good, healthy bees, are doing a good thing. And we just want to account for that, and give you value back for doing that. And just like, almond pollination in California, for good or for bad, I mean, it's delivering a very valuable service to the almond industry. They're getting almonds, production on the other end of the beekeeping services, and those beekeepers get paid to put their bees there. But your bees in your backyard, they're also delivering valuable ecosystem services to the flora in your neighborhood, and providing food for the animals and whatnot. So again, that's where the bigger vision is coming, and Mac's is going to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thank you, James. No, that's exactly what you said. So this is what we're looking at right now, is to understand, okay, now that we help beekeepers work with beekeepers to solve the problem of keeping bees healthier with the wealth of information that is out there, and it being more and more difficult as the climate changes and as stressors increase because of the way we produce food or the way we use lands. Is like, what is the information that is required to keep bees healthy? That's the first problem. And then the second one is, when we leverage the data that we all jointly collect, what else are we able to showcase? What else are we able to prove? And we just talked about the honey profile, for example. So we're able to enable beekeepers to tell a better story about where their products originate from, to have a better story around, the honey is real honey, is real local honey. This is where it comes from. And as a second piece, and this is what James was saying, can we prove that the value that bees produce in your neighborhood is exactly the same that it does in an orchard for pollination, for example? Because the data that we collect helps us to monitor biodiversity, because that's what we do as beekeepers. We are out there and keeping track of the flowers that are blooming and the health of my hive and the other pollinators that are around. And these can help us reward these ecosystem services, because currently we don't know how biodiversity is doing out there. And we believe that beekeepers can play a central role to get rewarded for their monitoring. So the vision that we have is to create a marketplace that allows us to reward you as beekeepers financially for what you do with your pollination services in a local area, by helping us to understand what the impact on local biodiversity is by cities that are being built, by roads that are being built, by companies that operate. So we're able to crowdsource the data on biodiversity and monitor the baseline. We can then start to implement bee health and biodiversity health as an actual KPI. And our vision is to make sure that any city that is being built, any profits that are made in this world are tied to bee health as a key indicator. And if bee health is monitored and measured across a large name, and we can point to that, we can then start tying policies, processes, any strategies by larger companies to the health of it. And we can monitor that and say, look, because of what this company or this city or this agricultural production did, the bee health deteriorated or decreased in an area or increased in an area. And that again is where, as we get better at quantifying where bees are flying, what bees are doing, how the bee health is happening, we're aiming to create that so that all the beekeepers together can help that we create this bee health indicator that the companies can get measured against. And then in a very transparent way for us to be able to say, look, what this company or the city did here had an effect on bee health, and bee health was deteriorating. So being able to have that backing and be able to show, to have the data to show what the actual effect was, that's what we're trying to move into. And for us, crowdsourcing. So for us, it just literally means we as a community, we work together to get this data to ensure that the world knows how the bees are doing, how biodiversity is doing, how we're monitoring it. And that is also why, since we believe that this has to come from all of us, this is also why, as one of our steps as a company right now, as we look to grow, we have launched a crowd equity campaign. And this crowd equity campaign, if you could go to the next slide, perfect, thank you, Caroline, allows anybody with $100 to be part of our mission. Since we believe that this is something we can't do it alone, we have to have everybody to join in. And this is why we launched on the platform WeFunder, we launched a campaign to help us fund these new features that we're developing and get us closer to developing bee health as one of the standard indicators that every company and every city should be aware of as they work through it. And so far, we've received every 80 contributions. So there's been more than 80 people who've contributed to this, which has been really, really fascinating to watch. And we're extremely grateful for all of your contributions there. And here, of course, as always, feel free to reach out directly. There will be a little QR code at the end that you can launch for a link tree. Always feel free to reach out if you have any questions regarding our video there or regarding what we're planning on doing. But again, we're trying to really put it on do it from the ground up, to crowdsource the data in a continuous way that allows us to change the way that land is measured, the way that biodiversity is monitored in this world, and that it's not doing for anybody, but it's being done with beekeepers who already do this every day as we go out and take care of our hives. So any support would be welcome, even just spreading the word. We're very active on this and on LinkedIn and helping us hit our next milestone. We already hit the first milestone last Friday, which was quite fascinating. And now we're working with our community to make the vision that we have, that James founded in 2010, to make that a reality. Back to you, James.
Okay, real quick before we get to your questions, and I just want to say, there are a lot of folks that have contributed to where we are now, and so this is our team, and there's again, it was me, and had one other guy, Ethan, some of you may have interacted with him. He was our support for the longest time, and our only employee. But again, since Max joined, and we decided we're going to go all in on taking this to the next level and what it needs to do that, because technology is not cheap. And so that's kind of why you see the WeFunder and what we're trying to do. So again, we have a very good team here. Sarah, if you're interacting with any of our graphics and design and the user experience, she is there, and that's a core component of what we are doing new, is the design and the user experience, because it needs to be easy to use and fun and engaging and have value. And so she is the lead on that. You'll talk to her about, she's always willing to get your feedback on that. And then got several here that are in more part-time roles, or they come in when they're needed. Like Drew and Dylan are both kind of students and interning with us. And then Emma is, if you look at our socials and some of the comms, the Catch the Buzz, if you're not signed up for those, you should. They're really interesting and fun information. And then Fritz is kind of our top level messaging, and again, some of our design. He's phenomenal in helping us communicate our message well. And then Caroline, she's helping run this and plan this webinar and helping again with the comms and those sorts of things. Declan's on here. He's really can't say enough about the job that he's done and getting our app, our new build, out in time for the season. We didn't want to lose another season, and it's going super well, and we will be super responsive to any questions, challenges that you have. And John's also kind of a backup there as well, just getting our infrastructure in place. So that's the team. Laura's in there. I left, she's not on the list, but Laura's an important part of our chief operating officer, just keeping all the back end business elements working. So you definitely need that. So yeah, that's the team.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James. And that's it for us. We would love to open it, so feel free to add your questions in the chat right here, and we will answer all of them. That's a great question, Tracy. Thanks a lot there. We will have, I think, Drew, you're on this call, right? So if you could follow up with Tracy, and I think James, if you want to take Jason's question.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. I appreciate that, and that's what I'm after as well, is especially as you have more hives, and that's the trying to get this kind of sweet spot of what's the minimum amount of information that we can collect that's still valuable. That's been kind of my focus, even for like the last 5 years of how do we get that intersection. And so you'll see a little bit of that in the app as it is, in terms of simplifying the interface, and you can skip through in the inspection itself. You can skip through pretty fast if you don't, if things look good when you look at a hive, there's really nothing else to do, right? I mean, if population's good, queen's good, food's good, no stressors, boom, I'm done, right? So in the app, that's 4 swipes and you're done. And so we provide that path through. And again, that's for, a few hives where you can really quickly get through it. Again, on the flip side, and I'll talk more about this next week, there is more detail. So if you do find, there's a queen issue going on, I want to dig in a little bit more there, record more information, then you can do that as well. So I think we've hit, and again, this is a iterative process as well. And we're asking for feedback on what is the flow, is it easy enough, what's useful, what's not. And we have the framework, I would suggest right now, to iterate on that and to make, to pivot pretty quickly in different directions. But that is definitely a focus on the new app. And as you've already gathered, probably for the next level up. So if I've got 10 hives, 20 hives, how do I do that? Right? How do I do those inspections in an efficient way? And so you end up going to kind of a yard level assessment. And that's we've done that before. We've got a legacy product out that we built for commercials. And so we have experience there, and we're going to bring that's in our roadmap with where the app's going to go and the web portal. They kind of converge into that kind of sideline or sweet spot, or actually it's a really hard spot from a technology standpoint to get that. It's easy enough, but has enough information and is quick enough that it's not going to change my flow, my process too much. I mean, you have to do some effort. I mean, until it can read our minds and just, operate that way, we still have to do something to record that information. And it's super valuable once you get in the habit of it. So that's probably a longer answer than you wanted, but just, I want you to know the philosophy that's behind what we're doing, and super aware of it. I mean, just that's the nut to crack. All right, what else y'all got? I was going to return to the blooming records just for a moment. Y'all ask questions while I'm talking, but again, each of these kind of features, the recommendations, the blooming, those are two that I think are, and the community intelligence are different than pretty much any other beekeeping apps that are out there, and kind of differentiate us and are pieces that we will continue to iterate on, and I believe are important to making you a good beekeeper. Again, our goal is to give you information to make the best decisions possible. And on the blooming side, if you're like me, and I think all beekeepers eventually get to this, you're kind of an amateur botanist, you're watching what's blooming, you're making, the seasons where your bees are located, and just recording that. I mean, we record it in our head. We look at, when's the red buds, when's the maples, right outside my window, the maples are just now blooming up here in the mountains of North Carolina. That's a big, indicator. And so having that information in the app, in the database, is going to be valuable to all the other beekeepers in your area, and yourself included, to remind you next year. You can look back and say, okay, maple bloom started this date. And then in 2 years, you'll begin to get this, kind of data set that helps define the beekeeping season in your area. And if all of you are doing that, then you just get a really nice set of information to help guide your beekeeping. And for new beekeepers in particular, when they come into an area, or if you move, you don't know what the season is like. And so again, that's kind of the aim for that blooming part. And the recommendations and community intelligence also feed into that, helping to define the beekeeping calendar in your area. So just a little bit more on those two features.
Great. Well, that's phenomenal. So you go to the next page, Caroline. This is the QR code for you all to scan. Again, our email addresses are there. I actually saw a couple of people have already filled in the form we sent through earlier. So we received some more people who are interested to test the web portal. We will get in touch with you there. And if there are no other questions, we have another 5 seconds for that. And then again, you can find the link to download the app here too. Other than that, we would love to thank you all for joining our webinar today. It's been great to spend some time together. Thank you for taking the time on your Friday. And whether you're in Egypt now or Iceland, where the day has almost come to an end, or you're in the US where we still have a couple hours left, thank you all. Have a great weekend, and hope to see you all again on next Tuesday, when James, if the weather permits, will join us live from his apiary and make an inspection right from there. And actually there, Jason, based on your question, we'll see what it looks like when you kind of have to flip through when you're actually in the apiary and have you're busy with all your hands in the hive.
Yeah, feel free to reach out directly with the emails there. We're open to your engagement.
Cool. All right. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye.